She top tier. Give it that top tier. Top tier. Top tier. Top tier. Top tier.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome back to another episode of Talkin' Top Tier. I'm your host, always doing the most. As you know, I'm the guy that goes by the name Tone the Boss. This week, I'm really excited for this. We've got a special guest that typically I do music entertainers, and this one's really important because we're going to talk a little bit about business and real estate. Ladies and gentlemen, our special guest, I'm going to allow Mr. Lucas to introduce himself here. Give it up, give it up, give it up. Hold on, I got an applause somewhere. We got to applaud this guy. That's not the applause. Come on, guys. I need the monkeys in the truck to do better, guys. Go ahead, introduce yourself, Lucas.
Hey, I'm Lucas Burrington with JTR Real Estate and Coldwell Banker Hedges, man.
There they go. They're going crazy.
They're going nuts. And owner of AMMT Property Management. That's nice.
So AMMT.
Yep.
What's it stand for?
Always making money today.
Oh, okay. Always making money today. Let's go. Yep. AMMT Property Management. Yep. So real estate, but also managing.
Yeah, we manage about 400 properties.
Whew.
We got 1,500 tenants roughly between it when you put the families together. And then, with the real estate side of it, we sell everything, man. We sell from commercial buildings to single family houses to fourplexes to 72plexes to.
Oh my God.
So yeah, we are that one-stop shop where we kind of touch everything.
Okay. All throughout Iowa?
Pretty much Northeast Iowa will stay. We got connections throughout the United States where if we needed to refer someone out, we could call and kind of pre-screen a realtor out there to make sure we're getting them in the right hands.
Okay.
But when you get into real estate, you want someone that knows what they're talking about. I ain't going to tell you about the Texas market.
Okay. Right.
But I'll find someone that knows the Texas market for you, and we'll put you in the right direction. We're like your lifestyle coach almost when it comes to when you want to get out of this area. We're just going to walk you through the steps and say, this is where you need to roll.
That's fire. That's fire. How long you been doing it?
This is going to be my 14th year. So.
14 years.
Yeah, it's ups and downs, man. It's been an interesting market.
Okay.
For sure.
Okay. That's a long time. That's almost 14 years. That's about how long I've been doing music, 20 years. So a little bit of different life path, but I like seeing self-made men, something organic. Let's talk about your upbringing. What led you into this lifestyle?
Oh, man. So always hustled. Grew up small town, Iowa. Then you had to create your own opportunities. When you're in a small community, there ain't a lot of jobs out there. So, power washing hog buildings to walking fields to, kind of reaching out to people. But, kind of what got me into the career path that I'm in is sports.
Really?
Yeah, sports.
How did sports lead to
competitive nature, man?
Okay.
And when I got into it, there was really no one to guide you in the right direction. So you're always looking for a helping hand. And then when coaching started coming into my life, because I've coached for 19 years. So I've coached high school sports and youth sports for 19 years. So it's my giving back in that area. But I had one coach that kind of reached out to me and he's like, he bluntly told me in the face, he goes, there's no I in team. Mm-hmm. There is a me, but it ain't going to get you far. and he goes, if you ever want to become great at something, you got to lose that word I and me.
Okay.
And he goes, once you lose that word I and me, you'll become great. And so it was one of the best life lessons I was ever taught. And basically what he was saying is you got to make everyone else better around you.
Ooh,
real estate's the same thing. So there's no different than sports and real estate in my world because all I'm doing is coaching, helping people along, touching as many people as we can to make sure we're making a difference in their lives because, it's your biggest purchase ever. There's a lot of stress that comes with that. So, yeah.
So I was a previous homeowner, and I'm actually scared to go back to buying a home. I'm almost at a point. I try not to recommend people not to buy, but I'll tell you how I was sold on buying a home. And then if you have any interjections or similar experiences, maybe you can help me or maybe you can persuade me into doing it again. But I'm divorced now, but I was starting a family. I was working career at GoDaddy, making great money. She's working at Nordstrom, making good money. And, we got 3 kids total. I had one with her and she had 2 before. And, when we were told we should buy, we're living in a condo and we're paying probably about $1,400. And when we're buying the house, we basically get told we'll pay about $1,400. What we weren't told about is like property taxes, PMI insurance, and then, I guess we knew the responsibilities that come with the house. And we knew we had to get our own appliances, had to do our own upkeep. I think there was like some crazy expensive radon stuff that we had to pay for.
Radon mitigation.
Yeah, that. And then there was a crack in our sidewalk the last year we were there, and the city hit us with like a $10K bill that we were not ready for. So, with that being said, after selling the house, I truly felt like I was not hoaxed, but like I had these false expectations of I'm going to save so much money instead of dumping it into a rental property. And then I also had this expectation that at the time, like, hey, I'm going to ride this out. We're going to pay this house off in 30 years, and then I'm going to give it to my daughter. And towards the end of it, I started hearing these stories about like these kids grow up and they go to college and they want to build their own future and buy their own house, and they end up selling their parents' house. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I'm not going to work 30 damn years for my daughter to just sell this thing and, move to Florida or wherever. So talk to me about the goods and the bads, or if you got a rebuttal even to that, like, help me understand.
Well, your sidewalk in City Bill is a whole different podcast.
Okay.
Man,
All right. We'll come back to that in the future.
So, it's crazy being in this for so long. And, I've sold it on 2 different sides of the states, and I've helped with transactions out of state and whatnot. What you say is pretty common. So it is education 10 years ago on real estate to where it is now. Everything's online now. You can search, you can figure this out, people are coming to showings and they know more than 90% of the realtors that are out there.
Yeah.
So, it's my biggest opponent that I have in real estate is dealing with what you just were talking about. So you got these, Tone, you go out there and you start looking, okay? And you're like, hey, I'm not going to use Lucas over here as a real estate agent because I got a buddy that's in real estate.
Right.
That's where the hoax comes in, because that buddy in real estate might be doing this only part-time.
Okay.
So he doesn't know the ins and the outs of all the transactions or seeing a left swing come from the city on that 10K bill you're talking about. How do you navigate around that?
Yeah.
Why wasn't this disclosed to us?
Or never heard of it.
You talk about your foundation and you talk about the whole closing process and getting the pre-approval and going from step 1 to step 2 to get to that. It's supposed to be a stress-free moment and that happy moment at the end of the day where you're signing your papers, you're signing your life away. Using that, hey, my friend is a realtor. I'm sorry, Lucas, I'm not using you because my friend or my cousin's a realtor. That's where it comes into play. It's like, you get what you pay for over there. Go with the expertise in the fields where they can coach you through that.
Yeah.
They can hold your hand from step 1 to step 2 to the happy moments.
Yeah.
When you're using the first available that's the closest to you, sometimes that's worse. No offense to any of my family or any of that, but some of my most interesting transactions have become between family and friends.
Right.
Because once again, their expectation is A, they either know more than you, or B, they want you to handle absolutely everything for free. So it's one of those you get what you pay for type situation.
Yeah.
Vet your agent. Ask the questions up front, and if you don't know the questions asked, have a consultation with the guy and be like, yo, what do I need to understand?
Yeah.
What could come up? What could happen? So,
from my experience, agents, they seem territorial. Like, they don't want you talking to a bunch of different agents. And I guess you should do that before you settle on one for either selling your home or buying a home. You should meet with a few. I would say, so I sold basically through a friend. who may not have informed me as much, but I bought from a lady who was very informative, but I think took a higher percentage. So I get what you mean. It's kind of pick your battles type of thing. Go with your friend who's cheap, but they're not going to break down A through Z. And you're going to trust them like, oh, they're going to tell me everything. And they're not, because they're like, oh, you trust me? I got this. I'm an expert. I don't need to, treat you like I treat all my other clients. When in fact, me personally, I need to be treated like a client all the time.
Right.
Give me the same rundown, but also I want the same respect you give to your customer. Don't be so lax and comfortable with me. I've worked with a few people that just get really comfortable. I'm like, hold on, we're still doing business here. Like, you might know me outside of this, but talk to me in a business fashion. And then if I have a dumb question, a friend will tell you it's dumb versus, an agent there's no dumb questions. That's the nice thing.
Now, don't get me wrong. Loyalty goes a long ways in my book.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but there's also loyalty, and you got to know the history of who you're working with.
Yeah.
I mean, I could be loyal to you, Tone, as a friend. You get your real estate license tomorrow, and I'm going to go buy a $300,000 to a $500,000 property, or even a $150,000 property. I'm going to be a little hesitant using you, even though I'm loyal to you as a friend. I mean, but as a realtor, I mean, my clients, they're pretty loyal. I've had the same core clients for almost the last 14, 13 years.
That's amazing. That says a lot about, how you conduct your business.
Right. But I mean, with that being said, I always tell my clients as we're looking at there's two enemies in my world, and it's some realtors and it's doorknobs, because some of them only work. I mean, most of them only work 50% of the time.
Doorknobs,
man. Keys. I'm fighting with keys constantly. What? Like, if you would put a title to me, like, I am WrestleMania of doors, because I am fighting doorknobs and keys and locks, and half of them don't ever work, man.
Elaborate. It's like, give me I need a scenario or a situation. Like, you got a home and they gave you the keys, you go to a showing and can't get in.
Man, the amount of windows I've gone through in my
what? I own this place, but I gotta break in.
So you and I go out and see a couple properties. There might have been 5 showings previous to it. You don't know if that tenant stuck that key in its pocket when he was showing the property. You don't know if the weather's messed up the box where the box ain't gonna open. You don't know if the lock is not working from the inside. So if that key's been used a lot in that keyhole, I mean, some people put these $15 doorknobs on, the whole middle will fall out. I don't know how many times I've been to a property where I've put a key in the door and the whole middle of the doorknob came out. And I'm like, okay, what are we gonna do? I hope there's a window that's unlocked. I mean,
oh my God, how does that happen?
Thank God that we carry our licenses in our thing that shows, hey, we are a realtor. I'm going through this window right here.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
That's great. Keys, agents and keys.
Hate them, man.
All right, so give me a bad scenario with other agents. Like, are we looking at poaching situations? Are we looking at just straight, like, do they be hating? Like, what happens?
Well, I mean, go back to the sports reference, man. I mean, it is. You and I are fighting for that same paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean.
So it's a competitive world.
It's a competitive world. It's a cutthroat world out there,
okay.
Especially when you got a lot of. I mean, don't quote me on this, but I think there's over 400 licensed agents in Cedar Rapids. Just to put that in perspective, during the pandemic, and there was only 263 properties on the market at that time.
There's more agents than properties.
Right. So right now there's probably close to 800 properties on the market.
Yeah.
So when we first were going, like in 2018 and 2019, there was like 1,800 to 2,100 properties on the market. So yeah, there's poaching going on. There's stuff going on. I'd say 98% of your agents are ethically sound. We respect each other, shake the hands. It's the ones that are chasing a paycheck instead of the relationship that you got to watch out for.
Okay.
You will be a successful realtor in today's world if you have respect for one another, and you're chasing the relationship and not the paycheck. The minute you start chasing paychecks in real estate, you're gonna lose your mind. You're not gonna last long. Because you're taking the ethics out of it. So once again, it goes back to you're helping someone make the biggest purchase of their life. So I mean, treat that with white gloves and with respect. And if they say they got an agent, then call the agent up and be like, "Yo, hey, this guy's here. He's looking at a house. He's yours. If there's anything we can do," because ultimately, a real estate agent's code of ethics 101 is to protect the public.
Yeah.
So we got to make sure people are doing the right things, and that once again, we're not poaching from one another, but protecting the public, making sure that this guy isn't bouncing from agent to agent to agent, but also making sure this guy's still getting the right information.
Yep.
So,
Yep. Okay. So it reminds me of I got a friend that was in car sales, and I went to his car shop. He showed me a few things, and then I went to a different car shop, and somebody else showed me something. And then they called him, and he called me back pissed, like, "How dare you go through somebody else?"
yeah, buddy.
So is it as territorial as car sales?
I've been in car sales before, way back when I was in college. It's worse than car sales.
It's worse?
It's worse than car sales. I mean, you're talking friendship ended. You're talking.
Well, I feel like you're dealing with a bigger bag, for sure, right?
Absolutely, yeah. You are. I mean, someone just took that last piece of pizza without asking. That's what happened, man. I mean, that guy, he thinks. I'm telling you, it's a real thing.
He said it's worse.
It's definitely worse than car sales when someone's taking a client from one another.
Yeah.
Or you go out there and you're like, hey. That's like one of the toughest conversations that you as a friend has to have with another friend that's a realtor. Be like, yo, man, I can't use you because I don't know how many times that I've had clients come up to me like, hey, my aunt, she's a realtor. I got to use her. And I'm like, okay, that's up to you. And then a month later, they'll call me like, okay, she's not out showing me houses. She's not doing this, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, dragging her feet with it.
I'm like, well, you need to have that conversation with your aunt and let her know why you're coming over to me. Because
don't have your aunt egging my car, TP in my house.
Facts, man. It happens. That stuff is crazy.
Oh man, that's wild. That's wild. So you said you were in car sales so sports, high school, college, car sales,
both. So
give me a timeline.
Yeah. So went into. I've always played 4 sports all through high school, and then growing up, and then went to Upper Iowa, played football, was doing some baseball. Then we came up over to Co. From there, I mean, the whole time I was working, I was actually working at Fairway. I mean,
Hey, okay.
Yeah.
You originally from Iowa then?
Originally, yep.
Okay.
Yep. So you want to talk about teaching work ethics. I mean, shout out to Fairway because, 4:30 truck rolls in 3 days a week. You're at 4:30 in the morning. And this was my life. It was 4:30 in the morning, Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, trucks.
Yeah.
Then I'd go work out, go to school, go back, go to practice, and go back to work.
Nice.
What was beautiful about Fairway was you got paid weekly. They still get paid weekly.
That's awesome.
So I mean, you talk about a high school kid getting money weekly. At that time, it was 99 cents a gallon of gas.
Yeah.
So getting paid weekly was, it was amazing. But it also, you were working for that weekly check. I mean, you didn't go to work that week. You didn't get paid.
Exactly.
That means being in a small town, anywhere I needed to go was 25 minutes away. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you needed to work.
Yeah.
So there wasn't no handouts there. So from Fairway, I went to Best Buy and I helped with recruiting and training staff. And then I ran the media department there. And then I got recruited out of there into the banking world. So I was in the banking world for, 10 years almost. So I learned the other side of real estate in the banking world. And from there, I was working for a bank out in Northwest Iowa, and they owned a real estate company. And so the executives of the bank all had their license. So I got licensed and was selling. Man, you want to talk about a crazy world.
Yeah.
Small town Iowa selling real estate. Here in town, usually you get a listing, your sign goes in the yard.
Yep.
Small town Iowa, you don't want to the mayor, or you don't want to mess up your friendship with someone over there. So you're interviewing 5 realtors. There might be 3 signs in the yard. and they're like, okay, I listed with all my buddies. Now it's the first one to bring me an offer. You talk about cutthroat there. So you're just hustling. You're hustling. And then when I came out here, I was still doing the banking. And Jeremy Trenkamp, my real estate partner, we're like, man, let's do some real estate. And I'm like, man, I'm already licensed. Let's do this. So we started rolling, and him and I have been, for Coldwell Banker, we've been #1 in the state for the last 10 years. And I mean, we roll and we roll heavy, but we do it the right way. So
I love it. I love it. All right, so I'm into like Marvel and theatrics and the drama and stuff. So talk to me about some of the downs. Like what besides the cutthroat agents, like what's something that you kind of been through that might have been heartbreaking or discouraging, and then how you kind of bounce back from it?
So I mean, downs, and let me clarify. I don't think the agents are the downs. The agents are also a huge support system out there.
The good ones.
The good ones, yeah, they're a great support system out there. And I'm a competitive guy, so the bad ones, they just make me more competitive. So, I mean, they're my drive.
Okay.
The downs would be like instant right now is I feel bad for some of the newer agents getting into the market right now. This because I was that guy when getting to see the recession and coming out of the recession, and right now we're going through high interest rates where I mean it's real estate sales are down almost 30% here citywide.
Yeah.
So I mean that's a huge hit. So real estate is like car sales. It's like any other profession that it's a grind.
Yep.
So the only way to get through some of these tough times where the market wants to freeze itself, so the inventory can catch itself back up, or the market's going to go crazy, and you're going to have 15 offers the first day you put a house on the market. So you got your highs and your lows in the market. And the only way to manage through all of it is just to keep the grind going. I mean, so if you're able to reach out and, I mean, I look at my friends and my family at that time, and I'm like, hey, it's going to be a long week. We're going to go put some time in.
Yeah.
I mean, the support system that you develop around you is huge in real estate. Between your bankers and your family and your kids and your friends and your networks that you got out there. I mean, that's how you get through it, man. You lean on each other, but you just keep grinding.
Okay. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. So, so earlier I mentioned, I'm kind of against the buying houses. I'm more into renting because I do like the freedom, being able to move, and the lack of responsibility. Can you sell me on why you think it's important to buy?
I manage a lot of people's investments. So when it comes to their real estate investments, so I mean, real estate's you got to look at it as an investment. If you look at it as a trap, then and it's holding you down.
It is what you say it is.
It is, yeah. Perception's reality in the world, man. I mean, it is. Whatever you draw that picture to be, that's what it is.
Okay.
So real estate, I mean, Cedar Rapids and Marion and the surrounding areas, appreciation's been out of control. So let's talk about your condos. I mean, your normal condos that they were going at one time from 70,000 to 90,000.
Yeah.
Those same condos are now going 105 to 125. Nice. I mean, you see some of your single family houses. I mean, I've seen that were bought for like 135. I'm going to have a listing appointment today, and they bought it for 131 3 years ago, and they're probably, without doing anything, sell it for like 181 right now. So I mean,
that's nothing to it.
Yeah, the market's been great. I mean, so if you see it as something that's holding you back, then I can understand.
That's what it is, because you looked at it that way.
Right. If you see it as something that's going to propel you and is going to be an investment that you're going to get some return on in the next couple of years, man, it's there. And I could draw out 100 scenarios over the last 2 years where people profited amazing in this market off what they purchased in 2018 and 2019. And I mean, life-changing numbers. I mean, you're talking $30,000 to $40,000 on a return on something you held for 3 years. I mean, okay. Let's go. Sign me up.
And I think that really just kind of sold me right there. When I bought the house, this was, this is it for the rest of our life. That's what I thought we were going into. Had I went into it in the mind of, we're going to buy this house and we'll stay here as long as we're comfortable, but then we'll get it appraised in a few years, and if it's worth way more and, we're struggling to keep up or whatever, we sell, we buy something different, or, we move around. We didn't look at it as an investment, and I think that was our biggest issue. Like, it was perception. It started to look like a bottomless pit. It looked like a lot of work to keep up with. I think by the time we end up selling, they were like, you need a new roof. That's going to be another $10K as well. And then, like, I don't know, we I think we broke even on ourselves. We bought it in like 2015 and sold in was it 2020 in 2020, and we broke even, but we definitely put the value down because we didn't do upkeep. We weren't
The maintenance side of it,
we didn't buy it to sell it. Had we known, like, make sure you're taking care of the maintenance and A, B, and C and all that stuff, I think we would have went about it completely different. So that definitely helps.
Go off your average American man. They when they purchase a house, the average buyer, whether they're refinance it or sell it, touch it within the first 3.5 years. Now, the average stay in a house is only like 5.5 years. So, I mean, you buy a house within the next couple of years, you're probably going to refinance that thing and either pull money out, do some repairs, or you're going to lower your rate. There's been such an influx with rates and so on and so forth. So it makes sense to pay attention to what's going on with the banks.
Yeah.
But you don't know how many people say, hey, this is going to be, I'm going to be here for the next 10 years. And I hear from them 3 years later. Like, let's go. I'm like, all right. Let's go.
With it being an investment, like converting from being a renter to a buyer, I mean, is there scenarios where they actually do save money? Like, one of the things that I had to learn was, okay, not only because I think you have to have PMI in Iowa if it's less than 20% down.
Yeah, depending on the bank and the loan product.
I've never even heard of PMI insurance until getting billed for it. Like, wait, what is this? So, but to me, I think the way I understood it through where we got our loan is we didn't put 20% down on the house. So there's an insurance basically that says, hey, if something happens to you or, you get laid off, blah, blah, this covers it. But it was mandatory. And I think it was like a couple $100 added to our mortgage or our loan or whatnot. And then like I said, I didn't understand property taxes. They're like, yeah, you can pay $4K at the beginning of the year, or you can split that up and pay, $375 monthly. I'm like, well, I don't want to owe you $4K. Right. So those were just the couple little things that I didn't understand going into it. And like now, those are the things that I would want broken down to me. Like I said, I was told, hey, you're going to save money and you're not dumping into a bottomless pit, which is what they describe renting. But we invested a lot into the house that we weren't expecting.
Yeah, PMI. I mean, that's always questions to ask your banker. I don't get as a former banker, I know enough to be dangerous about it, but it's changed. The banking laws have changed so much since I've been out of the banking world that I just say, hey, talk to your banker on it.
Okay.
What you're talking about with like the taxes and insurance, that's called escrow. And almost all banks require escrow now, where when you make your monthly payment, it all comes out on a monthly basis.
Ah, okay.
So you're not getting hit with a $4,000 bill once a year or, splitting it up. So escrow's been a lifesaver for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Now it'll be very interesting with all these assessed values going up over the last, I've heard nothing but crazy stories the last 60 days of the new assessed values coming in Lynn County and people's houses going up 50K to 60K and to 100K, and it's like, whoa, this is crazy. So that means your taxes are going to go up. So I mean, it's
that's true. That's one way to look at it too. If the value goes up, the taxes go up. So you gotta. Yeah,
it's gonna. I don't think the banks. I don't know how they forecasted for tax values to go up as much as they've gone up. So I don't know what impact that's going to have on escrow. You might have a lot of stories like what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm here to sell houses and make sure that the buyers are happy and the sellers are happy, and I'll let the bankers handle that back end of it.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So now, let's see. We got about 5 good minutes left. I want to touch on sports and how you're still involved in sports and why the importance of it.
Yeah. So, as mentioned, coaching, I've coached for 19 years. Actually, probably longer than that when I go to think about it. But there's such a need for youth development. There's such a need for someone to have their hand and being able to direct kids in the right direction, especially ones that have been there, done that. I mean, failure is going to happen. I mean, that's what sports is all about. You're not going to hit every shot that you take. You're not going to hit every ball that you swing at. You're not going to catch every ball that's thrown to you. You're going to fail. It happens. The question is, a lot of these kids don't know how to handle failure, and so, but they also don't know how to handle success either. So I mean, it's kind of a double-edged sword. And I know the coaches in my life. My dad was a coach. He kind of laid the groundwork of I watched him giving back to kids his whole life. I mean, that he was in school systems, he was coaching, had his hands on, and seeing the impact on it, and those kids coming back 4 years later and saying,
Yeah.
"Yo, what's up?" and "How are things?" And I mean, I just had some of the kids that I've coached just have kids.
Yeah.
I
That's
mean,
crazy.
so it's insane. I mean, I got
Yeah.
some of those kids that are working for me now. Now that we got youth sports,
Yeah.
we're touching so many kids in Cedar Rapids
Yeah.
that we're projecting a lifestyle for them.
Yeah.
Where they can say, "Hey, you know what? I hope a percentage of them give back as well."
Absolutely.
That we've had an impact on their life where they're going to go out and touch someone else too in
Yeah.
a positive way.
Yep.
So sports have been nothing but positive. It's taught me the competition, but it's also the most important thing in my career. It's taught me how to give back.
Yeah.
Once again, if you're chasing a paycheck, you're never going to make this.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're doing it for the right reasons and you're touching as many people as you can and you want to have an impact on so many lives, then real estate's the place to be.
Okay.
It lays the groundwork because you're touching so many families.
Yeah.
So sports have been nothing but great. It's laid a foundation for me to kind of live my life. Also trying to do it with my kids, and I have 2 daughters of my own. I had a kid. I had a kid that is my son that is not my biological son. But 14 years old. 15 years old, started living with us when he had a situation in his family go and never left. Here we are 14 years later. He just got married.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
So, I mean, I hope whether we see eye to eye on everything or not, I hope he spreads that love somewhere else too. And that's all came through coaching.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's got his hand in the real estate field now too. So
That's
I mean,
awesome.
yeah, it's a huge tree that
Yeah.
you're out there touching.
Yep.
So.
It's about expanding, spreading your branches, and they sprout their own tree, and then hopefully they keep some of the same teachings and values that you've taught them. We're gonna get. We got to touch on a current event, and then we're gonna do a fun game here. So we're gonna get to really know you here.
Okay.
But first, I'd be remiss if we talk about sports this week after such a huge week in Iowa sports. And I'll speak my opinion first, so I don't blindside you with anything. But so I'm Iowa till I die. Like I rep this place. Like I was born in Chicago, but you ask me where I'm from when I'm in any other state, I'm always just saying Iowa. I made my name musically here. My best friends are here. My children were made here. So when it comes to sports, I'm Hawkeyes no matter what. We went to a game a month ago, got to see the absolute beast, the amazing Caitlin Clark. She is unreal, like just absolutely amazing athlete. I go to watch the game, and I don't know if Chuck ever told you, but we actually went to NCAA finals in New Orleans, and absolutely amazing. I never played sports. I'm small, uncoordinated. I'm very bad at anything sports. That's why I got into music. But when we went to a game, we gained this new level of appreciation for the athletes. Like after they missed that last shot, like they just kind of collapsed to the ground and just burst into tears. Like it's kind of over. Like this was, for a lot of seniors, this was that moment, and it's always like down to the wire, and it gets really crazy. And, the other team, of course, goes crazy, celebrates. So brings us to this situation. So, Iowa loses, and it sucks. I'm hurt. Like, damn, this girl, did her best and is the GOAT right now. There's some taunting that happens. I even recorded when it was happening, not even knowing it was going to be a big deal, but there's a, point to the ring.
Right.
So, I got a song, Give Me My Ring. I'm like, oh, this is going to look great on that. And then there's the John Cena, You Can't See Me.
Right.
Which Caitlin did a couple days ago. Me personally, I do think it's a little bit extra from Angel to walk her down. However, this is where, race comes into play. Growing up with black women, sisters, my mom, grandma, just black family, a lot of black women aren't celebrated. It's really tough on a day-to-day basis for them to get a win, period. So Yeah, when maybe it's sore winning. I don't know. It's just it's tough because Caitlin's predicted to do this. She's the pick. Who's gonna win? It's Caitlin like all day. So when you're finally beating her, I would have bragged. I would have taunted myself like this. I'm not supposed to be here. Is kind of my mentality whenever I succeed in something. So I can only imagine, how Angel felt. And she had a good team. They played an amazing game, and that's really all I felt we should have talked about. But I went from being sad about Iowa losing to being sad about how our fans said some of the most distasteful things I've ever seen online. Like I would have been okay with the F LSU, whatever, because we're Iowa. But when it's talking about these girls' hair and their lashes and how classless she is and showing pictures of her throwing her middle finger up, like, okay, so none of us have ever done that.
Right. I mean, you pull stuff when we were 20 and 25.
Yeah, a lot of us will be canceled real
Yeah.
quick. So, I was hurt by it. I actually talked to a black coach not long ago who was very anti what she did. And then I was like, so, and you're a coach, so what do you tell your girls? He's like, oh, I tell them do that shit all the time. I tell them taunt. I tell them add some swag. I was like, so how are you so against it? And he's like, it went on too long. And I was like, okay, but the people that spoke out about it, Caitlin handled it so well. She didn't pay it no mind. She kept it moving. Like we should have talked about how classy she was versus how classless someone else is. So with all that said, that's my side of it. I want to leave the floor to you and get your opinion.
Yeah, it's a huge talk right now in the sports. I mean, the madness of March. I mean, that's what it's about. I mean, you know how Caitlin handled it. It is with class, but it's with that dog mentality though too, man. She knew where Angel was coming from.
Yeah.
I mean, these girls and guys. I mean, in both sports. I mean, they put everything they have into this to get to that pinnacle moment.
Yep.
Anyone that's played at an elite level or the collegiate level or anything can understand where this all came from.
Yeah.
And can appreciate it.
Yep.
And if you don't have a competitive nature to you.
That dog ain't in you.
It ain't in you.
You do an X-ray, there's no dog there.
Yeah. I mean, when I was at Upper Iowa, I mean, we had guys from all likes of the world. And I mean, I've played sports, against guys all likes of the world.
Yeah.
And it's one of those, it's the game within the game.
Yeah.
That you as an athlete or you wanting to be the best you can that you're going to run into.
Yeah.
I coach our girls to have some swag.
Yeah.
I coach the boys to have some swag and confidence out there.
Mm-hmm.
The minute you start taking that away, you lose that competitor.
Yeah.
And as a coach, you're there to grow them.
Mm-hmm.
You're not there to hold them back.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a fine line to walk on it. I mean, I have no problem with what went down. The only issue I had with it is when you start walking the court and chasing it down.
Yeah.
And that's not because of Angel or anything. That's like
Whoever did it. Anybody. Like
where I'm from, if a guy starts doing that, you better be ready to throw your fist. I'm telling you, this kid's walking me down. I mean,
and that's why I think we should have just talked about how classy Caitlin was to not react to it. Instead, we became the ones that were classless and reacted. And
oh man, the things I've heard in huddles, the things I've heard on piles in the football fields, the things that I've seen
and the
on
stuff that's not on camera. We don't know what was said from Caitlin to her, whispered right before. She says takes this shot. Like we don't see that side of it, but there's a lot of media involved where they made sure we got that clip and they made sure to play it over and over so we all react. I saw that coach's suit so many times. Like you have to, it's entertainment at the same time too, and you have to acknowledge it as that. But it's also like, bro, if you, like I said, I can't play sports, but you put me on the court with LeBron and I'm beating him by 20, you damn right, I'm going crazy. Like this wasn't supposed to happen.
Well, I mean, if you played clips of like Isaiah Thomas and Michael Jordan. There was no love between them.
No, and it was a lot of physicality.
Yeah. I mean, if it wasn't words that were coming, it was both.
Exactly.
I mean, it was coming elbows. I mean, how that all went down. I mean, the reason it is where it's getting blown up is just how it was portrayed.
Yeah.
I mean, but once again, the athletes that have been there, or even just the competitive natures, whether you're competitive within work and whatever not. we understand where a lot of that ground was based. I mean, of those two. I mean, there's a reason Caitlin's response was, hey, I know where she's coming from.
Yeah.
I mean, she handled it well. Angel, she's gonna learn for some of the moment, but I mean, that's who that girl is, man. I mean, she's out there playing ball.
Yeah.
She's balling at the highest level.
Yeah.
Props and respect out to you. I mean,
Yeah.
go do your thing. I mean,
And it's one of those situations you weren't picked to win. And, a lot of people think, oh, she just wasn't picked to win for this game. But like I said, from from our background, we're not picked to win in life all the time.
and Tone, I mean, from a team standpoint, that's the only issue that I have is besides the walking down situation. But you just never want to take away from the team aspect of it too, because I mean, LSU was the favorite going in.
Yeah.
I mean, Angel and Caitlin have been playing against each other for years.
Yeah.
So this wasn't like a first meeting of them. I mean, I don't know if Caitlin's beat Angel. And, I mean, so like when you get into some of the 16U sports and when they've played against each other on AAU teams and whatnot, I don't know if Caitlin's ever beat Angel on that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's history previous to that a lot of people don't talk about.
Yeah.
And the mutual respect. I mean, if the girls got respect, they're shaking hands at the end of the day, and hats off, then we shouldn't have as big of issue with it.
Right.
But I can't tell a normal Iowa fan how to react. I can't tell an LSU fan how to react. That's my view on it is if my girls are walking down another girl, I'm pulling them, I'm sitting them for a period of time and having a conversation that says, this is a life lesson. You do that in the real world, something bad's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's where, as a coach, you got to put it to a real life standpoint.
Okay.
But you also got to understand, you don't want to pull on Superman's cape. You don't want to hold someone back. You want to keep them great.
Let them be great.
Let them be great. I mean, so there's just a fine line to walk on it. And, I mean, it's going to get turned one way or the other anyway, whether we like it or not. It's just, keep an open mind as well. So
dope. All right. So I feel like we may combine this with a part 2. I feel like this is really good. It's a good start. So let's talk about what's to come. Talk about the upcoming podcast. What can they expect, and why they should tune in and care.
Yeah, so we got a lot of big things coming on the real estate side, and personally myself. And so this podcast we're going to get is it's going to be informative about real estate, but it's also going to talk about some life stuff and how to relate it to investment on properties, and then also about what sellers' challenges go through and what's going on in the market. But we're Jeremy and myself, and we'll have other speakers coming in. We're kind of just gonna. It's gonna be called Whiskey and Real Estate.
Oh, nice.
So,
okay.
It's gonna be chill. I mean, it's gonna be one of those sit back, have a drink, and let's talk some real estate, and let's all aspects of life of real estate. So
I love it. I love it.
There
You gonna have some audience participation? Can they send in questions, or how do you want to handle that part?
We're open. I mean, once again, we want to touch as many people as we can. So if there's something we can do to make the podcast better, then we want to hear. If there's topics that people want to hear, then so be it.
Okay.
So much of our career is about educating people. So we want to do it in a more relaxed form where we can enjoy ourselves, where we don't feel like we're on a job interview as well. At all times.
Yeah, for sure.
If they want to relate back to a podcast and it's like, hey, we need to go watch this and hear more about it, and call Lucas and get some more info on it, then so be it. That's
awesome.
Yeah. So that's what's coming in the real estate world, and personally for myself and, like I said, Jeremy, and we're excited about it. That's for sure.
All right. Well, Lucas, I appreciate having you. I'm
Thanks,
excited for the future. Man. This was fun, and we got a lot more to come. So AMMT website, AMMTLLC.com.
Yes, sir.
We got some social media.
Yeah, same thing, man. Just look up AMMT on the social media standpoint of it. Look for myself. That's the easiest way to get it. Is go look for Lucas Burrington. And my email is lucasburrington@cbhrealty.com. Any questions you guys got, just fire away. There's no stupid questions when you're dealing with the biggest purchase of your life.
Facts.
So, especially in an unstable market right now. So just let us know how we can help. So,
all right, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. Talking Top Tier. That was Lucas. And we'll be back. We got some more to get into, and we're going to be doing this a lot more often. So thank you for coming through. And that was another episode of Talking Top Tier.
Rolling on my wrist, that's top tier. Rolling in the whip, that's top tier. See me with a chick, she top tier.